The things that I'm going to teach you today are only understood by people who know how to influence people, by people who know how to play the game of power, by people who actually have a lot of power in life. This is why intelligence is not about book smart. True intelligence is about understanding human nature. Now, there's a warning. Understanding this could potentially corrupt you. I took DMT one time, and the entities told me that be careful with trying to understand and play the game of power. Because just understanding this, the DMT entities told me, throughout the millenniums, the understanding of how to attain power has corrupted a lot of good men. Now, literally, that's what the DMT entities told me. So these are the things that it's very corruptible if you understand, because you start to see that people are more penetrable than you imagine. People make it seem like they're impenetrable creatures, that they have everything together, that they have high self-esteem, and that there's no way you can manipulate them. And a lot of times, the more you believe that, the more susceptible you are to highly intelligent people that understand human nature. The perfect example is cult leaders. And so cult leaders understand this, and they attack the number one need for validation nowadays, which is what? Social cohesion. Most people feel isolated, right? And so what they do is that they validate people's sense of belonging, because most people don't have friends. And so that's why when you go into a cult, a lot of the members will shower you and love bomb you. Why? Because they want to validate you. They want you to want to show off them to other people. They want you to feel like you're part of something, so that then through the validation, you get addicted to the group. And this applies to almost anything: art schools, demographics, political circles, right? The reason why people are so attracted to certain political groups is because it validates them from within. Maybe the political group validates their intelligence. Maybe the political group validates their progressiveness, their morality, their ethicalness, right? All of these things, the reason why they work is because they hit at people's insecurity. Whenever you see people join a cult, they're not joining a cult because they're stupid. They're joining a cult because cults fulfill a basic need that you're just not aware of, because you just don't understand human nature. Now, the next one is, most people hurt you, but it's not personal. It's like when your parents, when they're getting older, they apologize for the shit they did to you, right? A lot of the times, even people who hurt you, who, like, God forbid, somebody touches you the wrong way, right? A lot of the times, they're just projecting. Like, they're not aware of the pain that, well, not all of them, right? But you know what I'm saying. Like, even if you have a kid, 12-year-old kid, who someone, right? That kid doesn't know what he's doing. Like, it's not personal, even though it's hurting you, but it's really an aggression, a trauma, them trying to process their trauma. And so a lot of the times when people hurt you, it's their own way to release that tension. A lot of the times it's not a personal thing. You were just in the way. You were just part of my insanity. Right now, this doesn't justify crimes and people hurting you, but this allows you to be more forgiving for people. Right now, there are some things that are unforgivable, but this can help you heal, especially if you have your parents, right? For example, when you understand the background of your parents and how they were raised, a lot of people might start noticing that they develop an intense level of compassion for their parents, right? When you understand why people are the way they are, it could allow you to deal with the trauma they've caused you, because you are able to connect with them at that level. Like I said, you're not justifying it, right? Because there are people who do it directly and are very conscious of it. Those are psychopaths. But most people, when they hurt you, most people, when they curse at you in the street, most people, when they get in your face or maybe smack you in public because maybe you pissed them off, a lot of the times it's not personal. A lot of times you just cut them at the wrong moment. Now, how does that apply to our lives? Well, because even if I had a girl, for example, try to bait me into going out with her and then cancel last minute and block me, right? That pisses me off. But I'm getting over it. It was yesterday, and I'm much more chill now. But I understand that maybe she's in pain, man. Maybe I remind her of her next. Maybe she's 30 years old and looking for marriage, and she's pissed off that, I don't know, like, because that's what she said, right? I could have told her, I was like, oh, that's why you're fucking single, you stupid bitch, right? But I was like, no, like, I could promise you, most likely she does this to a lot of people and she can't help herself. And most likely this really does sabotage her relationships. And this allowed me to stop taking it personal, to stop the story, this fucking bitch, and to allow the emotions to eventually burn away. It's like a house that's burning. Don't add more. Let it burn away. It might take a day, might take 2 days, like now where I am, but eventually the whole house will burn, and you'll be healed without. And their attacks doesn't leave an imprint, doesn't leave a fossil, doesn't cause me now to want to hurt other women because of her. Get what I'm saying? Um, it's not taking it personal helps the next people you meet. To be honest with you, the next one is that um, people want to believe in a fantasy. Right? People want to believe a fantasy. They want to believe a lie more than the truth. They want to believe that you have God-given powers over you being a normal person. When the Buddha was the Buddha, when he was alive, the Buddha just meditated. Honestly, when he meditated and became enlightened, he wasn't a superhuman. And most people were convinced that he could heal people. And the Buddha was like, yo, I can heal people. And no matter how much he wanted to tell them, they still believed that he could heal people. People would come up to him saying, "Can you resurrect my dad?" He was like, "I can't do that," and they would still believe it. This is the thing, man. Whenever you show some form of competence, any form of competence, good at something, and people and people feel deeply dissatisfied and unhappy, whatever you tell them, the reason why you're so good, people will believe it. In fact, if you tell them that you're good because an angel came to you and gifted you something, they'll believe it more and will be more enthusiastic than if you tell them I worked hard for it. In fact, they'll follow the liar more than you. A lie is easier to believe than the truth. That is just how it is, man. It's easier. It's easier to believe that the ugly guy was the one that farted. It's easier to believe that the good-looking guy didn't fart. It's easy to believe that the ugly guy is a sexual assaulter. It's easier to believe that the good-looking guy is not, right? Everyone has projections, assumptions, and they all want to believe that assumption in every area that we want to find. If you believe black people are bad, for example, you're going to try and find a reason to believe that this black person committed the crime, even though they didn't. Right? We all want to believe in fantasy. We want to believe in quick fixes. We want to believe in fast money. We want to believe in quick healing. Why? Because the opposite means pain. So all you have to do is overpromise. And people will believe in overpromise more than a realistic promise. That's just how people are. Very gullible. Um, Now, the next one is everyone has a dark side, and it comes out in extreme opposites. Usually, the guy who's really, really anti gay is the gay one. Usually, the guy that is really masculine and trying to be tough is the sensitive one that was abandoned as a child. Usually, the woman who's the boss bitch feels the most vulnerable on the inside. Usually, the woman who has the most power is the one that feels most alone. Usually, the ones with the most friends usually is the one that has least close friends. Usually, the one that's most evil usually is the one that comes across as most angelic. It's one of those things about people, man, that usually you see their dark side through extreme opposites. It's just how people are, man. If somebody's really judgmental of certain kinds of people, most likely they are that, or they're envious. People who are super anti-billionaires, most likely they just envy the billionaires. You know, it's just how that is, right? It's like the pastor who's anti-gay, who hates gay people. Most likely he's gay on the inside. So you can kind of tell a person's dark side by looking at their extreme positive qualities that they choose to put out into the world. And most people, if you don't understand this about human nature, you don't understand it. It's usually the ones that look like Jesus are the ones that are anyways. Next one. People show their red flags from the beginning. Maybe they tell you they love to party and they love to rave, but they stopped doing crack a few months ago. People usually repeat those types of behavior, right? Maybe they told you that oh, I'm really impulsive. I have trouble controlling my impulses. And you might think that's cool and adventurous, but maybe that also means that they can't stop cheating. Maybe that also means they struggle with their self-control. Maybe they say they're super career oriented. Me as a man, a woman tells me that, but then when I go date her, she is really bossy and wants to control me like she controls the people under her. Right? Maybe they tell you how they were once addicted to crack, and you think they're not gonna go back to that. Well, if you know addiction, you know how that works, right? Maybe they tell you how most of their exes are fucking bullshit. How they're horrible. How they all of them betrayed them, and for some reason they're always the victim, right? Like it's or even they'll tell you I'm crazy, and you think it's a joke. No, no, it's not a joke. They tell you I'm a narcissist, and you think they're playing. No, man, they're not lying, man. They believe what people tell you, especially if it's bad things. Anything that's bad that people tell you that they are, believe them because it's against their benefits. And last but not least, I forgot what that's called, against their self interest. People never do things just once. That's the number one thing. People always repeat their behavior. People always do the things that they've done in the past. If they hit an ex, they'll hit you again. If they went back to an ex, they'll go back again. If they're a cheater, they'll cheat again. If they're pussies with one relationship, they'll be a pussy with you. Like it's just that simple. If they lie, they'll lie again. If they stole money from this person, they'll steal money from you. People never do things just once. Don't believe what people tell you. Believe what people do, and you will never get played again. It's that simple, man. Remember, people never do things just once. People show their red flags from the beginning. Everyone has a dark side. People want to believe in fantasies. Give it to them. Most people hurt you, but it's not personal. It's very important to understand that. Most people have a need for validation. They're naturally insecure. And these are the 6 things that usually people with power understand. And I'm gonna give you guys a bonus one, right? Um, let people come to you. Let people come to you. And this is really wise. If you're a grandparent, for example, the truth is, most kids on their own will not visit their grandparents. You got to give them a reason to visit you. You got to maybe create or maybe have a certain place in the house with video games that your kids will want to visit. Like certain parents say, my kids don't visit me. Maybe that, and this is hard to understand, but they got to have a reason to visit you. Like most people, when they grow up, they get selfish. And so you take it personal. It's not personal. It's not that they don't love you. Trust me, they love you. If you die, they'll cry. But the problem is that while you're alive and they're an adult, they prioritize other things. And the only thing that will bring them back to you, yes, it is love, but a lot of the times it's self-interest. And a lot of people just don't understand that. Like it's important to have an environment that brings people to you. And when it comes to power, for example, I have people who work here, right? And the reason why I have this is because it makes people coming here to work much better than just me having a small apartment. I was conscious of that. I have a nice yard here. Why? Because I like having events. Yeah, people will come for me. I know they'll come for me, but more people will come if I have a nice place. It creates a much better environment. It's no big deal, right? Power a lot of times comes in you creating a situation that forces people to come to you more than you go to them. Right? And usually the people who have the most power understand this. The most expensive chefs are the ones where you literally have to travel a bunch of places just to go see them. The harder they work to come to you, the more they'll enjoy the experience with you, right? And I'll add one more. It's that play to the eyes. Use the power of symbolism, right? If you want to look spiritual, put spiritual symbols around you, a Buddha, a Jesus, and I can promise you, people will unconsciously start to see you as a spiritual figure. Like seriously, like like the incense, the clothes, the talking, the hair, the big beard. Like you literally have a projection of power by just surrounding yourself with the symbols that you want. Now, if you want a negative symbol, we all know what to do to get that negative symbol, right? Like you get so with the positive, you can as easily taint your reputation by doing the wrong symbols. But man, you can easily recover your reputation by associating yourself with symbols that is the complete opposite of the symbol that ruined your reputation. Plain and simple, man. If you guys want to learn more about this, check out my courses and see you on Patreon. We're doing a meditation in 2 or 3 days. We just uploaded a meditation about how to penetrate reality. Check that out on Patreon. It's my channel. If my channel ever closes, so you guys can find me there. Take care.